Hello. Hi, everyone. You're all very welcome to our LinkedIn audio event. We're super excited to have you all here live with us. The audio is actually also streaming over on YouTube. If you need to step away or you miss any parts of this, it's going to be available to listen back to on YouTube, even if you want to watch it back again. There's also a chat happening on both our YouTube and here on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions or any feedback for us during this, just pop it in the chat and we're going to get to the questions at the end. So my name is Megan. Good start. My name is Megan and I'm here with Gary.
You can be me if you want. Swap roles.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. And thanks for joining us.
We're both from Amplify. We are a company that specializes in employee recognition and incentive programs for clients with 100 or more employees. We use our own recognition software to help you with your goals. So, as the title says, today we'd like to talk to you about some key insights that are a must in boosting your employee engagement. All right, let's get started. I'm going to go over the 3 points that we're covering in the session today. 1, what is employee engagement and why does it matter? 2, how do you measure employee engagement? 3, what things can you do to improve your employee engagement? And of course, as I said, we're going to take your questions at the end. So if you have any questions at all, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them as we go along. So, Gary, that's your name. When we talk about employee engagement, what do we actually mean?
Well, employee engagement as a concept has been around for, a good number of years now. And there are different definitions, The one, though, I like, which is the simplest one out there, I think, and the one that resonates most with me, is that employee engagement is the willingness to give discretionary effort to a job. So it's that discretionary effort that some employees will give to a job and others won't. And so obviously, it's something that companies would like to have more of, more employees being engaged, giving that discretionary effort. And, it's tied in behind that with a commitment to further the company's goals. And there's an emotional element to it as well, in that employees feel it more aligned with the company and with the company's vision and maybe with their values as well. So it's people who really get the company as opposed to ones who are just, along for the ride, let's say.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not just about employee satisfaction?
No, in fact, it is. It's often mistaken to be some sort of proxy for employee happiness and employee satisfaction, but it's not that, because you can have really good, committed workers who are generally not very happy people, and equally you can have very happy employees that don't do any work. And this is something that is much more aligning the mission of the company with the effort that an employee puts in.
Okay. So we know what employee engagement is, but why does it matter?
Well, there has been so many studies down the years about the benefits of employee engagement to the organization, also to employees as well. And the figures that have been produced over the years is, a litany of fantastic business results. Like staff turnover can be reduced by 30%, or absenteeism can be cut by 80%, or productivity can be increased by 10 or 20%, and profitability in companies with greater employee engagement can be 20%, 25% higher. Yeah. The studies that show all this, the studies that prove all these stats, which is fantastic. I think if you put that aside for a second, because it isn't a science, it's more of an art as well. Mm-hmm. And people like Jack Welch, who used to run GE when it was when a massive conglomerate, and brought it from sort of more humble origins to a behemoth. And he said very simply, it goes without saying that no company, small or large, can win over the long run without energized employees who believe in the mission and understand how to achieve it. So it's logical. Get employees, get more employees in your organization, aligned with the company, motivated and enthused and energized to achieve the goals of the company. And hey presto, you're going to have better results.
Yeah.
But downside, or the flip side, is that in the world today, employee engagement is if anything decreasing. And studies over the last 10, 15 years would have shown that, there's a little bit of a bell curve normally. You've got maybe 30% globally of workers that are fully engaged, what they call actively engaged in a company's mission. Then there's a big, group of people in the middle, maybe 60%, that are neither actively engaged, but, they're to various degrees, they're sort of giving discretionary effort or not, or withholding it. And then there's a small percentage, maybe 10%, that are actually disengaged. They just don't want to be there. And, over time, in the last few years, we've seen that the actively engaged numbers are beginning to, tread down a little bit. Okay. So this is a slippery eel of a subject in a way, but, hugely important, and especially now with the current environment of hybrid working, remote working, geographical disbursement, global companies. This is tricky stuff, but really important.
Yeah. Okay. Good points. We work a lot with values, and you hear a lot about company or corporate values. So where do values come in with employee engagement?
Well, the way I look at it is that, values is the glue that connects, company goals with employee effort. It's the how we go about our work, as opposed to just what we get done. Okay. Because, in every company, and, some more than others, but it's not just about getting the job done at all costs or in any manner whatsoever. It's actually about doing it in a way that has a bit of quality or value to it, that, aligns the company with the employee as well, that they're thinking the same way and going about their business in the same way to achieve the same result. So values are very important, because they are that glue, and they can be that overarching umbrella when we talk about engagement and discretionary effort, that keeps everybody literally on the same page.
Yeah, values being the glue is a really good way of putting it. We actually work with a lot of companies that have really strong embedded values. A great example of one of the companies that launched with us last year is Curem Care. They're a group of 6 care homes, and they're spread across Ireland. Their values are caring, united, respectful, adaptable, meaningful. So for them, if you want to see a company that the values are really important to, it's definitely Curem Care.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that they've come to us to put a program in place to embed those values and celebrate them throughout the organization? Mm-hmm. Because you would have thought on the outside, that somebody that works in a care home looking after the elderly, it already has all of these great values about, not just sheltering and providing medical assistance to elderly folk, but also to do it in a particular way that's respectful and engaging for them as well. Mm-hmm. But, that's not the case necessarily. So they're conscious of that it's not just enough to do the job, the core tasks, they have to do it in a particular way if they want to be successful. And, it's interesting that they have put a program in place, a recognition program that supports all of this engagement and all of these values as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. Really like those guys.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Great. So we've covered what employee engagement is, but we need to know, why is it actually important? But just before, I just want to remind you guys that if you wanted to know more about Amplify and how we can help you boost your employee engagement, just DM myself or Gary here on LinkedIn. You can pop us an email. You can visit our website. There's ways to contact us there as well. Or just send us a message here. We'd love to give you a free demo of our recognition hub, and we can show you how you can simplify some steps, better engagement. So this is a tricky one. Number 2, how do you measure engagement? So how do you actually measure employee engagement, Gary? What companies, how have they come to you with questions about that?
Well, number 1, I've never had, in all the years I've been working in this area, I've never, ever had a company that came to me and said, I need help to improve our employee engagement score. It's just never happened like that. Because I think there isn't one universally accepted measure of employee engagement. There are different methods that you can use. There are different indicators, but no globally recognized one, unfortunately. So what in my experience, what tends to happen is companies come to us looking to talk about engagement and employee recognition because of one or two of these indicators that feed into employee engagement.
Okay.
So some of the triggers, some of those indicators can start with, say, an employee survey, an annual survey or a pulse survey, where people are reporting back that they're feeling a little bit disengaged. Normally actually comes out in a different way, that they're not feeling appreciated, that they're not feeling recognized. And that sort of sets off alarm bells in the company, where they're going, wait a minute, how can people not be, feeling appreciated? We pay more than the industry average, and we got great benefits, and it's a great place to work. But this is what they're hearing back,
Mm-hmm.
So that can be the starting point. The obvious hard indicators are employee, the rate of attrition, and employee retention, employee productivity, employee absenteeism. But the problem with those is they're not exact indicators of engagement, because there's so many other environmental factors going on, especially now today in the type of work environment that we all live in, and the way the economy is.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't give you an exact correlation with employee engagement, but those are indicators as well. So feedback is very important. We also get a lot of leadership-led engagement plans, and how that manifests itself is that some new leader, be it in HR or the CEO, comes into a company,
mm-hmm.
and they challenge HR to implement a big project to energize the workforce, or they come in with ideas that they've seen work in previous companies of theirs or in previous countries, and they go, we're going to implement this, and away they go. Mm-hmm. So those are the indicators, but never ever has it come to me anyway that our employee engagement score is 52%, and we want it up to 54, or 84.
That's kind of we work at the company Irish Distillers. Actually, they've been with us for a few years. So surveys are actually a big thing. We do them within the company too. It's a great way to find out. As you said, it's not the only way, but it's one way to figure out employee engagement. Their initial internal. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say there are a lot of if you Google them, and it's in our engagement ebooks that we produce as well, is there are methods to get an employee engagement score. It's not as if there's no attempt to do that. A lot of them are based on surveys, exactly like you said as well. Mm-hmm. So that there are a number of methods out there, a number of questions that you put together, and you get a rating for your employee engagement. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to compare that between one company and the next. It's more like giving you a baseline in your own company as to what your engagement is like, and then you can try to improve it over time. Mm-hmm. yourself. Sorry, but
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that they're a good indicator, because we did see their initial internal survey they did. They saw that 80% of employees said that receiving recognition was really important to them, like in terms of being engaged, but 50% of them said they felt they were not being recognized. So they came to us with this kind of question on how can we fix this? And after they prioritized this, they saw that the next year that specific metric was the overall best improved thing that they had.
Yeah, they were so far ahead of the game here in Ireland, because that was 2016. Yeah. And I remember talking to them, and they were quite demanding, and getting research, getting white papers, getting input from ourselves, and was a new enough subject for us too at the time. Mm-hmm. And but so it took well over a year for them to come up with the shape of the program that they then wanted to implement. But they really made an effort to discover every angle they could on this thing, and they put together a program which 8 years later is one of our most successful programs. Sure. So it probably is worth the investment they put into it at the very start to get it right. Mm-hmm. So really interesting case study.
Yeah, it shows that it works too. So
over time.
So to summarize, what you're saying is that there's not really one metric, but there are tons of ways that it can be measured. Some great engagement from all you listening so far as well. Keep sending any questions. We'll have some time at the end to answer them. Also, just to remind you, if you did want any more information from us, if you wanted to get a copy of one of those ebooks that Gary was talking about earlier, we have them. We can send them on to you. Just send us a message here on LinkedIn, send us an email, anything like that. Or if you'd like to have a demo of a recognition software, we'd be more than happy to have that done with you. So part 3, this is what we're all waiting for, the big thing. How can you improve employee engagement? So we have 7 keys that we're going to go into for this. So I'll start with number 1, make compensation fair. This one might seem a bit obvious, but it's often overlooked. Fair compensation, and I don't really mean just getting a bigger salary. I mean equity. So the metrics actually show that what really matters to employees is feeling like you're paid fairly compared to your colleagues. And obviously, we all would like to have a bigger salary, but it actually shows when you go into the studies of it that people actually feel more satisfied, they're more engaged if they feel like they're getting paid equally to their peers or industry standards, basically. Some stats on that, actually, a recent survey found that 82% of workers said they were more productive and satisfied when they believed they were fairly paid.
Yeah, and we do a HR trend survey every year, and it is always in the top 3 to 5 motivators for employees that they report the salary. But it's never the top one, or very rarely has it been the top one in the past. And I think the way I look at salary and benefits as well is that it's sort of something that if you get right, you get very little credit for as a company.
Yeah.
If you get wrong, you're going to have problems.
Everyone knows about it.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's this exactly what you said. It's the fairness of how employees feel about their compensation as opposed to the actual amount that they get. So how do you make it fair, and how do you make compensation fair? That is down to every individual company, I guess. There is an element of paying a good rate, but it isn't paying the top rate. It's making it fair across all the different parts of the business, maybe, and somebody can equate the job they do with a salary that they think is fair, and that maybe their colleagues think is fair as well, because everybody talks about this stuff, even if they don't reveal the actual details of their salary. And a feeling that, we've seen a lot of it in the press of leaders getting paid exorbitant amounts of money, and what impact does that have on the feeling of that compensation is fair throughout an organization? So it's a bigger topic than just a number and an amount you get in your bank account every week or every month.
Yeah, more than just more money.
Yeah.
So that's number 1, make compensation fair. Moving on to number 2 of our insights, offer flexibility. So for some, flexibility is actually as important as their compensation. The feeling of having an autonomy over your own schedule and carving out a good work-life balance is so important. Flexible hours and remote working are the big discussion points on this. In that same study that I was talking about before, when asked about work flexibility, it's actually 94% of respondents said they would benefit from it, quoting less stress, improved mental health, and better integration of work and personal life.
Yeah. But this is a real hot topic, isn't it? Because I just even heard yesterday how one of the many whatever they call it, executive orders that President Trump signed.
I didn't know if you were going to bring that up.
Well,
I was watching it this morning.
One of them was that all federal workers have to go back into the office.
Yeah.
I wonder, did Elon Musk have anything to do with that? But
I think so.
This it's like somebody said, it's almost becoming part of almost like a cultural war now. That certain larger companies are mandating people to come back into the office, whereas 2 or 3 years ago it seemed like you could work from anywhere. I guess the reality is, for most people, to do with hybrid working, it's somewhere in the middle. But the interesting thing for me is, even pre-COVID, flexibility was always high on the priority list of employees when we did our HR Trends annual survey. But COVID really set a rocket underneath it. Yeah. And now we're in a situation that different companies are doing different things. And certainly from my perspective, in a small company, it is an advantage if you can offer flexibility, because some companies and many larger ones are going the other way. Yeah. And so in the sort of full employment or very low unemployment economies that we're in at the minute, that flexibility can be a big advantage to attracting staff and also to retaining them. Compared to all the other opportunities that are out there at the moment. But this is one to to stay on top of, because it's shifting sands at the moment.
Yeah, things have changed, like even since yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2 is offer flexibility. Number 3 is improve communication. Now this goes hand in hand with offering flexibility. So communication is huge. Communication with the team needs to be intentional and with empathy, and to actively listen. It's proven that employees feel more engaged when they feel seen and heard. But in all settings, communication is really important, but it's definitely something that we need to pay attention to, specifically with hybrid work and remote working. Sometimes when you don't see people, you forget to communicate with them. So it's so important to just make sure that you're setting up one-to-ones, celebrate the wins within the company so that everybody knows, share company-wide updates, keep the sense of connection alive, basically. Make sure that with remote employees that they're involved in any of the small meetings that we have, and, just involve them on the screen, make sure that their feelings are heard, and, that we're always checking in with them too.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never seen anyone complain about having too much communication. Well, maybe too many emails, but not too much communication. It's hard to over communicate. And the bigger the organization, the bigger the challenge it sometimes is to keep the communication going, because it sort of has to go. It has to be delivered at all levels, from the top, all down, and it also has to be a two-way street. And so there's a lot of, and everybody's distracted these days. There's a lot of channels, there's a lot of tools to do all of this stuff, but real communication is still a goal that, or an item that many companies struggle with a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one to continually strive to improve, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So number 3, a big one, communication. Improve your communication. Number 4 is encourage wellness. So that's another key factor, is encouraging wellness. But thinking about investing in all 3, the physical, emotional, and financial wellness, shows that your team is cared for. And there's lots and lots of ways, like especially nowadays, it's a big thing. People are getting creative in different ways to show wellness within companies, big and small. We have a wellness program here. So it really boosts morale and helps with our team bonding. And we've done some really fun things, like some mindfulness classes. We do sometimes just lunch walks. A few people will get together, and we'll make sure that it's kind of a weekly thing so that people can connect outside of work. But the best one we did was laughter yoga. I don't know if you came to that one, Gary. It was pretty fun. Yeah, when we came back, the whole office was buzzing, and it's great. It really boosts morale for sure.
Yeah, and these things don't just happen on their own. That's the funny thing. I think you get a great reaction when a company goes out of its way to organize those type of events, or put some resources into it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the company didn't do that, I don't know if that would happen.
No, I don't think so.
Because,
well,
that's the way it is. People, so it's up to companies to look out for that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all the different parts of wellness, like, apart from the physical, the mental, there's financial as well. It goes on. And I think the expectation now as employers and from employees is that it is, a company responsibility to put those type of things in place, and to worry about employees' wellness. Yeah. Whereas I don't think 10 years ago it was the same deal.
No. Yeah, it's definitely something that people can put aside and not think it's as important, but it definitely makes a difference, and we see it here firsthand.
Yeah.
So that was number 4 of our key insights to boost your employee engagement. Number 5 is using leadership to engage. So, Gary.
Yeah, I'm really, this is a really big one for me, because we know from launching employee recognition programs over the years that the most successful ones are the ones where the senior leadership fully buy in and fully engage with the recognition program itself, and use it, and lead by example on it. And so all the studies would show you that, if you trust leadership in an organization, you're 4 times more likely to be engaged, and you're 58% less likely to want to leave. So trust in the leadership, and having leadership bought in to engagement as a topic is hugely important if you're going to make it work, and if it's not just going to be a box ticking exercise. I spoke to a large company in the airline business last week, and they had a new CEO came in about a year ago, And basically, I think what he sort of did was went around to all the heads of departments, including HR, and got them all to come up with a big idea. And what that meant in HR is they came up with a plan to implement what they called thanks and fun. Right, that was their theme, thanks and fun.
Okay.
And bear in mind that they'd come out of sort of COVID, where nothing had happened for a number of years, and they were just trying to struggle just to keep the thing going. And then suddenly they had this thanks and fun. They initiated a load. They brought back a load of the impersonal fun days that they used to do and then they hadn't done for a long while, like summer barbecues, like Christmas children's parties. They had a really successful bowling league in the summer, and they said this is one of the this was just amazing, the response that they got for that. And then on the other side of it, they started reintroducing and expanding some of their employee reward programs, their service awards, their employee of the month, their nominations, their superstar awards, and really adding on nice features to those programs and really showing everybody how valuable they thought it was to thank people. And really promising results. They were doing some great stuff, and they were really happy with where they were. And now they're going to try to bring it on to the next level. But that all came from leadership coming in with ideas.
Yeah, Kathy here just commented, great well-being programs actually enhance productivity and accelerate performance. And there's a distinct difference between well-being and wellness. Yeah, that's a good point. She brought that up too.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another session on wellness on its own.
Yeah.
It is quite a big topic.
Yeah, it is definitely. Okay, thanks. That was using leadership to engage. That was number 5 of our insights. Number 6 is to develop a recognition culture. So, Gary, you can talk a bit about this one, I think.
Yeah. So obviously, recognition is our business, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why recognition and employee engagement are so closely related is that if you do employee recognition in a really effective way in your organization, it actually ticks a lot of the boxes that we've been discussing right now on this at this event on how to improve engagement. So effective employee recognition program will help with communication. It will help engage management at different levels from the top, to down to middle management, which we'll come to in a minute. It makes a certain amount of the compensation, because there's normally a reward element with it as well. Mm-hmm. It makes it really fair and really transparent, depending on how you do it. But it's obvious, it's open about how you get rewarded for doing different things, and it's open for everyone to see how that works. So there's nothing hidden. So recognition is a really powerful tool, but like I said, it needs to be done. It needs to be done right. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is that to have an effective recognition across your organization, big or small, you need to be able to recognize employees in a timely way, in a genuine way, in a personal way, and in an equitable way. So, for example, there's no, some clients come to us and they're doing service awards, they're thanking employees for being with the company a certain length of time. But people who are reaching a milestone in February are getting thanked for it in November. And it's a long time away from the actual event itself. Also genuine. How do you make recognition genuine? There's lots of systems out there which will give you a thumbs up or a badge if you do something great. That doesn't feel too genuine to me. Mm-hmm. And then personal. How do you make it personal as well to people? And equitable. It goes back to that fair compensation idea that we spoke about as well already. So recognition can be really powerful if done right, but to do it right, it needs a little bit of thought, a little bit of investment. It needs to be done to a certain standard, mm-hmm. because if you get it wrong, recognition can actually be disengaging for all employees or for a large number of employees, or it could just be damned by the who cares type of attitude, which is what you don't want. You want it actually as a powerful tool, which it can be, to improve engagement throughout the company. So that's where we come in, by the way, but I won't plug us any more than that.
You can say a little bit about it, actually. We do see on average that more than 90% of people engage in the program when we do it. So that's 9 out of 10 employees were actively engaged when they were using the Amplify by the end of the year, after using our software. a few of our programs actually had 100%. So
yeah, it's amazing.
It does
So
help.
100% of, and these are big companies, or well,
Yeah.
a couple of thousand people companies, and every single person in the company actively engaged or actively participated in the recognition program or the software that we put in place to run their program. So, you know, that's a good metric.
It's a good insight for sure, definitely. Okay, so that was number 6, developing a recognition culture. And lastly, number 7 of our insights is to engage middle management.
Yeah, because we, I spoke about, leadership being really important for implementing successful engagement programs. But what we find, both from research and from, when we go out to implement employee recognition programs, is that it's the middle manager or the team leader, team supervisor person that we're mostly trying to make sure that the program works for. The reason for that is that studies have shown that the most memorable recognition that an employee can receive comes from their direct people manager. So even more than, say, a praise from some leader or somebody else higher up in the organization, they want to hear it from their own direct boss. Now, I think that feeds into the fact that it's more genuine. It can be more personal if it comes from you, and it's the person who should understand the most about what it is you're trying to do and the effort you're trying to make. But on the other hand, I think it is middle managers who struggle sometimes the most to thank employees adequately enough or systematically enough, or who have that natural affinity for the people in their team. And so having a tool and a system to help them do that both helps the manager recognize their team, and in return, the team feels much more engaged and energized by the fact that now their direct manager is giving them good positive recognition for the discretional effort that they're making. So really, it's really important, and that's something we always focus in on when we are launching and running recognition programs.
Yeah, one thing that we actually do with our recognition hub is that if the line manager of any employee is nominated or awarded, then they're notified. So I've noticed that this can actually help the managers that maybe are a little less comfortable or don't really know how to go out and give this recognition, that they see the employees being recognized for things, and then they too can reach out and give their own kudos to them. So that is a helpful thing for middle management as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that was great. I just want to recap our 7 ways to boost your employee engagement. Again, we actually have an ebook on this if you did want to have it in writing. There's more numbers and stats in it and stuff. We didn't want to bog you down with too many numbers in this, but if that's something of interest to you, you can always reach out to us here. That's number 1 is make compensation fair. Number 2, offer flexibility. Number 3, improve communication. 4, encourage wellness. 5, use leadership to engage. 6, develop a recognition culture. And 7, engage in middle management. So I actually just wanted to bring up one thing. The company you're saying, one of the ones that got 100% nomination rate this year that we work with is Shivas Brothers. They are really great. They're really engaged clients. So they a lot of the points that we just went over recently, they implement that into their program. So in the company and within the recognition program with us, they have almost 2,000 employees, and they're spread out across the UK. So they're not all together in one place. So it's, as we said, like distance, working apart from each other. This disconnect can kind of be something that hinders you from having this engagement, but they're doing it well because they're using all these different insights. They offer an extensive employee assistance program that focuses specifically on your health and well-being. They have flexi time. They even have paid volunteer days off. So, you can go and do that if it interests you. They have extra bonuses for achievements in your personal life. So not only do they celebrate you for good work that you do, it's also things in your personal life, like a new baby, the birth, or a marriage. They give extra points out for that. And they're interested in you doing better. So they offer graduate programs that support recent graduates to find a path towards more leadership positions. And we're going to get to your question shortly.
Sorry, what I really like about those guys is that you touched on it there. I mean, if you think about that business, I don't think there's as diverse a business functionally and geographically as maybe Chivas Brothers in the UK, because they have nice marketing and sales offices in London. They have big bottling plants just outside Glasgow, and then they have a lot of distilleries scattered all across the wilds of Scotland.
Yeah, like
some of them with
so
only a
many.
couple of people, less than 10 people working in them.
Yeah.
So it's an amazingly diverse company, and to have 100% of everybody in the company participate in any program, I think is an achievement, and it's a testament to all the things that they're doing, exactly like you said.
Yeah, they really do. All of the points they went through, they're a shining example.
Yeah.
Well done, guys. So we're going to get to your questions now shortly. So if you have any more questions that you had, just pop them in the chat. Just to remind you that if you did want to contact us and learn more about how Amplify can help you boost your employee engagement, just send us a message. You can send one to me or to Gary. You can send an email. You can go visit the website. There's lots of ways to contact us. Just let us know that you're on this. And we can give you a free demo of the Recognition Hub. We want to help you increase your employee engagement. So let's get to some questions. Okay. Steve, I completely agree about the importance of leadership in driving engagement. How can leaders build trust, especially in hybrid work environments?
Yeah, good question. Building trust. There's one thing. There's a couple of things that it comes back to, but I don't know how you do it exactly because every company is different. But leaders building trust need to be empathetic.
Yeah.
Be actually be sincere and show that they sort of care. That's maybe a little bit easier said than done. I know in some big companies where they're doing town halls and they get global leaders to come in and maybe give a talk to the local office with a couple of thousand people in it, and the ones that seem to strike or to stay in people's memories are the ones that show a little bit of vulnerability and this genuine stuff. There's somebody that comes in and is all singing and all dancing, rarely connects enough with the wider employees. So building trust is, I guess like in any relationship, it's to do with a sort of a two-way street, and just showing that empathy, that you care about the business, that you care about the employees, that that there's a bigger set of values out there that everybody can buy into, and that the leadership is fully part of that, the same as anyone else across the organization. Now, what are the tools you use to do that? What are the methods? With all of the choice that's out there today, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. But I would say that what we're seeing now, I think, is a combination of digital or online methods combined with in-person. Even if the in-person is a lot rarer or less frequent than it used to be in the past, there is something coming back, I think, about that in-person connections to building trust, and for leaders to really get out and talk to people. I think that's going to become more important as we go forward as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe within all of that, maybe there's a few hints that people can bring into their own companies, because a lot of companies, every company is doing this, I think, to a greater or lesser extent, and it's a question, I think, of finding out the right combination of both tools and initiatives to build that trust, and the company needs to be with the leadership as well, like even the board, everybody needs to be sort of showing that they're going in the right direction, that they have a strong set of values that people can all sign up to, mm-hmm. And that the leadership have signed up to. So it's more than just the leadership, I feel, as well. Sometimes there's a wider agenda out there for companies, but it all needs to be aligned if you really want good trust, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I just want to mention once more before we move on to another question is, if you did have to leave early or you joined a bit late, you'll be able to watch this again on YouTube later. So don't worry, you won't miss anything good. Next, we have Rasheen. This has been so valuable. Thank you so much. What's one key action we can take away today to start improving engagement in our teams?
So I would say, take what we've all been discussing here today, and maybe just take 30 minutes, and do two things. One, finger in the air. Where do you think engagement is at in your organization on a scale from 1 to 10? Is it good, bad, or indifferent? Doesn't matter. What is your impression? Maybe ask one or two people around you, but like, how good or indifferent do you think employee engagement is in general across your organization? And if you don't know, maybe that's an indicator that you should go and do a survey to find out a little bit more about it. So that's one thing I would do. Just take maybe 10 minutes to do that. And then I would write down all of the company-led activities or initiatives that you are currently doing in your organization that would foster or improve, that currently are helping engagement. And be that a wellness program or compensation, some of the things we discussed here today, maybe employee recognition, write them all down. What is it that you're doing, and see how the two of them match. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. See if something comes out of that, you say, oh, there's an obvious gap here, that's something that we should be doing, or there's some more information we need to find out about this. Out of that, I think you'll get a lot of actionable points for specifically for your own organization, for your own company. And of course, if in the end of the day you want help with any of this stuff, just talk to us, because we do engagement and recognition audits, we do suggestions, proposals, demos, all that sort of stuff. So, we can certainly help in that area. But, I would say just take 30 minutes yourself first and have a quick assessment of where you think engagement is at in your organization.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a good one here. Is it sector specific? Do you think that there's other industries that people are more naturally engaged as people, or will it work with anybody, any sector?
Well, yeah, I think, there are probably certain sectors, certain industries where engagement is a bit different or has a natural advantage, maybe, some. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of some of the, creative industries, some of the glamour industries, people are naturally, engaged with, maybe because it's a personal interest of theirs as well. But the majority of organizations, and even those organizations, I think they all face the same challenges today, which is, the hybrid, the working, the disconnect between maybe management and employees, the communication challenges. Also, the employee expectations now are higher compared to what they used to be. And so I would say that the figures for active engagement are pretty much the same across different sectors. And certainly in every sector, engagement is something that could be looked at and improved, I would say. Mm-hmm. But it's down to each. So I would say there isn't a magic sector that doesn't have the issues with trying to motivate and inspire employees. And if you look at the sectors that we deal with, it's everything from care homes to manufacturing, to medical devices, to drinks companies, to security. Where's the commonality in all of those? Mm-hmm. Some of them are small, some of them are large. So I tend to think that in general, no, it's across the working world, employee engagement, employee recognition are things that should be managed a little bit more than just left to chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. We have Billy. Do you have more examples of companies that successfully aligned values with engagement?
Well, I think you probably know all the clients that you look after are all value led.
Yeah.
They're all value led recognition clients, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. We were saying about, not to say Shivas again, but they were so their values are so embedded in everything that they do, that we were saying earlier that they're one of the clients that almost everybody that works on the team knows their values are open, bold, and united, because they really defined them so well. Also, another one, I said Curum, they did. Almost all of the companies do really lead with their values. That's basically how we run our recognition program. So to nominate someone in it, you would use one of the company values. So it really kind of embeds in you when you're making the nomination that you can see what the value is, and you need to think of a reason why they're living the company value. So I think it helps people really learn them more. And then even, Barrelman Rewards is another one that they really, really love their values. Real, remarkable, and responsible.
Yeah, so they're doing employee engagement through recognition, and at the same time, they're supporting the company values, or they're the glue that binds it all together is their corporate values. So they're aligning employees with the corporate values. They're embedding those values in, while at the same time engaging employees around a culture of recognition. And, all those things together have a powerful effect, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Where do we start to implement? Okay, so that's an interesting one. I mean, we've gone through a lot today. I know it's probably hard to take everything in. As I said, you can always ask us for the guide, but if you wanted to get started like today on implementing employee engagement, where do you start?
I think you need to start with your own organization, like we were sort of saying, and look inward, have a think about how engaged or otherwise your employees are, how engaged or otherwise leadership is with with employees throughout the organization as well, and then assess what you're doing with employee recognition, maybe in your own company right now today, and see if there are things you think could be improved or should be improved. And it doesn't have to be you don't have to get very specific, but I would then at that point, there's so much online, there's so much out there. And there's companies like us that are only too happy to talk to you about all the great things and options that you might have. So talk to a few companies like ourselves and see what they're offering. And from all of that research, I think you will come up with 3 or 4 things that could really make a difference. But you need to spend the time on it yourself first, and look at your own company first.
And we're happy to have a chat with you if you wanted to let us know how we can help you too.
Yeah.
I think, if there's any more questions at the moment. Again, if you guys did have any questions or you walked away thinking about something and you wanted to know more, just DM us here and we can get back to you if you think of anything. And yeah, if you wanted to look back on this, if you missed any parts, it's going to be available on YouTube after this. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Do we have anything more to say about
No, just thank you very much for coming today. And I really hope you did get some few pointers from this, and look forward to seeing you at our next event. So watch this space.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, guys.